back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast. Plus also as well, Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Go ahead and check out the Magic Man and my good friend Chris Sardieri as we cover the latest weekend for the NFL for not only you fantasy football owners, but we go ahead and take a look at some of the best lines and woof woof woof. Who are the underdogs in the doghouse this weekend? So go ahead and check it out today, the Inside Sports Fantasy Football Show. That's right. Also, as well, of course, Joe Soro when he's here. Hopefully, he'll join us here in just a second. He's Alex 1947 at Lakers Ball. Yeah, I know he's late. Well, you're a minute late too. So, we already had Blue Magic waiting for us. It's like, come on, guys. Time's a wasting. Get on the air. There you go. But Joe might still be on LakersBall.com as Alex H47, but he also may be doing work for his company, Simblades. Simblades with a Y.com. Also, as well, of course, our good friends, Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet. Laker Tom's the number one Lakers blogger that's out there. And also, of course, Jamie Sweet, Mr. Five Things. They will be here tomorrow, along with, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because he said he would be here as well, L Rob, a returning L Rob. Also, as well, the guys from Lakerholics. They will be here to discuss the season in detail, what they're looking up forward to and what they're hoping that will happen. Can't say hope too much because Joe gets a little pissy on that. But yes, what may happen this season, the Lakerholics are going to preview that coming up here in a bit. But go ahead and check out what they're saying already at Lakerholics.com. Also, as well, our good friends, Empire Jeff. Also, as well, Lakers in 5 and John McCallion. Those great channels. Check them out on YouTube. And speaking of YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. We need all the subscribers we can get. We're now over 1,080 strong, and we're climbing. And hey, just a couple weeks ago, we were 1,080 strong, but that was kind of like a bot thing. So we went back a little bit, but now we've taken steps forward. And now we believe we have over 1,080 legitimate subscribers. Be part of the family today at the Lakers Fast Break by hitting that little Joe right there with the beady eyes to get the latest notifications on when we go live with the latest Lakers Fast Break podcast. Welcome, everyone to the Lakers Fast Break. Truly appreciate you joining us here. Thank you so much for joining. Magic Man is in there. Okay. Simblade said next time, clean up your act. Okay. So that means that Joe must be on the way or doing something, or I guess, I don't know, but he's in the chat. The world's best Lakers chat room that's out there, the Lakers Fast Break. We're talking about with the Lakers now ending their exhibition season last night in a loss against the Phoenix Suns in Palm Springs. They're now 2-4 heading into the regular season, but exhibition records shouldn't really matter because we saw how last year went during the exhibition season. We ultimately saw what happened with the Lakers heading to the Western Conference Finals. So with that in mind, and the Lakers predicted by many as a top tier contender for the NBA championship, although don't ask Locked On NBA Sports on that. Locked On channel put this on a different tier. And, that's something that, they'll have to live with if the Lakers go ahead and win the championship. But be that as it may, who are the contenders? Who are the teams that are most likely to go ahead and be up there in that altitude of the best in the Western Conference? And maybe you could throw in the Eastern Conference too. Who are the rivals for the Lakers? Who do they have to go ahead and concern themselves with that might be up there with them for this season? Here today to discuss that as far as his thoughts, not giving a whole season preview on that because we're going to go ahead and talk about that here in a bit, but here today to go ahead and talk about some of those teams and why they may be of interest to the Los Angeles Lakers. Good man indeed. He is the madman from Toronto. He did get out of Toronto traffic to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers' main rivals out there. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice. And Sean, great to have you here, my friend. We're talking contenders as far as rivals for the actual Los Angeles Lakers. Your thoughts on this, my friend? And before we do, I want to mention two things. Yes, we've got the Lakerholics show tomorrow at 3 p.m. We've got a huge Monday season preview We're going to go really long on that show. That's coming up on Monday. And also, as well, if you are still interested, if you're still interested in fantasy basketball, please go ahead and email me. Email me immediately or as soon as you can when you hear this. LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. I do have a couple spots left. Or if we get more, we'll start up another league very quickly. So please let us know if you're interested in joining us for a Lakers Fantasy Basketball League, fantasy basketball style. Go ahead and let us know, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. And last but not least, before I bring you on, Magic Man, of course, the merchandise store. The link is in the description below. Please go ahead and make sure that you join us today for awesome merchandise store indeed. Please go ahead and check it out. A lot of great stuff there. Go ahead and support the Lakers Fast Break, Joe Soro, the great work he's done on it. So please go ahead and check it out today, right there for you in the description below. But Magic Man, it is the rivals to the Los Angeles Lakers. Let me ask you this. When it comes to the Los Angeles Lakers, I know that there are some, teams here in Vegas that are being predicted right now, at least a little bit closer favorite than what the Lakers are for the NBA title. But the NBA title for them, they're right around the fifth or sixth team in this equation, depending on who you talk to here in Vegas. So your thoughts, who are the major contenders or major rivals the Lakers have to, concern themselves with or deal with here this season?
Yeah, it's a interesting question, Gerald. So I think now that we've got a clearer picture,
Mm-hmm.
I think two things are really clear.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple tiers of contenders. There are contenders in the regular season,
Mm-hmm.
and there are playoff contenders. It looks like a team like the Golden State Warriors is built for the regular season right now, Gerald, not the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think while there may be a situation that arises where Golden State has more regular season wins, that I wouldn't necessarily conflate that with them being a contender in the Western
Okay.
Conference. Um, so that carries with it an asterisk, right? There's a condition with the Warriors. They
Mm-hmm.
need to add size, or else they're a great regular season, not a playoff team. Obviously, the two thorns in the Lakers' side right now are the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. Those two teams are the obvious obstacles in the way of winning a championship. So you're likely going to have to beat one of them and probably at least both of them, Gerald. I would say you'd probably face at least one of them in the second round and likely the other one in the Western Conference Finals. So those are the two top contenders right now. I don't see anybody else in the same tier. There are just a lot of who the hell knows
Mm-hmm.
still, but that they would be like regular season, really great stories like the Timberwolves, the Pelicans, the Thunder, the Mavs. Any one of those teams could have a great regular season, but I still wouldn't qualify them as necessarily contenders. So out of the who the hell knows and the Golden State Warriors, I think the Lakers really only have to contend with Denver and Phoenix.
I don't know about that. I think the Lakers, there's going to be someone there's that probably will try to go ahead and make a trade or make a move that might actually compete with or make them a little bit better and more competitive against the Los Angeles Lakers. About the Golden State Warriors, yeah, they do have a little bit of assets, and they have that Chris Paul $30 million contract they could throw at people. They do have Kaminga and Moody that they, as far as youth, that they could throw at somebody in a trade.
If
So
the if the war if the Warriors turned around and acquired
right now they're
somebody
not. Right now, I
no,
don't feel that they're at that level. Sorry
no,
to our good friend that that you were on the show and all
yeah,
that. So,
Rich,
but
yeah,
Rich, yeah. So,
yeah.
but unfortunately, Golden State's too old, small, and slow right now for me. But a trade that could bring back some quality players or a quality player in the right spot for them with the assets they do have, because they do have that $30 million Chris Paul contract and the young players plus a draft pick or two that could probably get them something that can probably elevate them to a higher level. I guess Memphis, you could say, if the Ja Morant situation works itself out, and they get some health back on their team, they could be somewhere as far as maybe a rival that could compete. You could also consider maybe a team like Minnesota on the fringes, where if everything falls into place for them, they're a possibility as far as at least being at a level where they may be of some concern out there. But you're right. Denver and Phoenix are probably the two marquee teams in the Western Conference the Lakers have to go ahead and contend themselves with. And then there's still people out there giving love to teams like Sacramento, even though they have to have the same kind of health that they did last year in order to stay at this level. And of course, the LA Drippers, who, sorry, Clippers out there, Clippers, who, again, seriously, you're going to see Kawhi and Paul play those kind of minutes. I'm not sure they're going to play those kind of games, the number of games that are required to go ahead and be at a certain level in the Western Conference. I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get it done because they obviously have it during their entire tenure. So I don't have as much faith as others do in them. But right now, yes, Denver and Phoenix, obviously they're the number two, 1 and 2 teams in the Western Conference to be talked about as far as a rival to the Los Angeles Lakers. But again, with the Lakers going into the season with some question marks, but overall a really, pretty good team that I think can contend. I think they're a team that's right now very built pretty well for the long haul in the season, and should find themselves somewhere up there in the Western Conference.
Yeah, Gerald, I really do believe the same thing.
Mhm.
It's some rosters are built for the regular season, some are for the playoffs. It's obvious ours was built for the playoffs.
Mhm.
Um, i- and again, that sometimes that pronates to a team winning 50 years or plus games. Other times, Gerald, it means winning mid 40s and making it to a Western Conference Finals like the Lakers and Houston Rockets did.
Mhm.
Um, Now the Rockets made to the finals. We did not.
Mhm.
It's a bit of a disappointment. But at the same on the same token, the fact of the matter is that I really do see us in the same tier as those two teams, just based on the roster coming back. That's pretty intact. Plus, you added a Gabe Vincent. You added, like we said, a surprising Jackson Hayes at this point. You've also added in, some quality cushioning there with Torian Prince because we've obviously
Mhm.
seen that, like, take very little away from the preseason, like with a grain of salt, obviously. But it looks like Torian Prince is comfortable with the same role he had in Minnesota 2 years ago, Joe, and he flourished. So I would say we're just built for the playoffs. I agree with you. I will add a footnote there, but I think when we go into the season preview, I see more a team like Memphis and Golden State as wild cards more so than contenders. I
Mhm.
think either one of them is just a move or two away
Mhm.
from tearing up instead of
Mhm.
like tearing mid or tearing down. But as far as that's concerned, yeah, it's top heavy with a triad there of us, Denver and Phoenix.
Well, we'll see what happens indeed. But once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is the Magic Man, Sean Grice, and me, Joe Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. But also here today, good man indeed. You got to go ahead and make sure that you subscribe today to Empire Jeff TV and go ahead and support all of his great causes, including his own merch store. We have our merch store. He has his own merch store in Court Kings. Make sure you go ahead and do that indeed. It is Empire Jeff. And Jeff, great to have you here. We're not doing a full blown season preview. We're going to save that for Monday as far as an extravaganza there. But we're wondering exactly who are shaping up, at least initially, before any monster trades or big trades that might happen during the course of the season, because there's always going to be one or two that might shift the power a little bit. Who are the teams right now that you might be looking at as far as, they might give the Lakers a tough test? I know that Nathaniel in the chat, and best Lakers chat room is out there, Lakers Fast Break, said, of course, Boston and Milwaukee. Absolutely. But those two will be fighting out mostly amongst each other in the Eastern Conference before they meet up with us or anybody else in the finals. Those two are great teams. Absolutely. But your thoughts on who the Lakers might look at as far as rivals for the most part this season?
I would say, yeah. So I mean, it's one of those two in the Eastern Conference. So Boston, Milwaukee, and in the West, I got Phoenix and Denver. And that's pretty much it. I've got 5 contenders, Lakers being one of them. Those are the other 4 teams. Um, right now, I do expect there to be some potentially significant movement this season that could shake the league up a little bit more and create a kind of a sleeper contender or a sleeper rival. But as currently constructed, just those 4 teams.
Okay.
As far as, like, if you're saying rivals, probably more like in the West, so the guys are gonna have to go through multiple teams. But those would be, I don't really see right now anyone else.
So there's no other teams outside of Phoenix and Denver that you see, if everything goes right, let's say like a Sacramento Kings, like outstanding health throughout the entire season, or maybe even a trade that you said, because I say Golden State. I don't think Golden State's at that point now, but with that Chris Paul contract of 30 mil, plus also as well the young talent in Kaminga and Moody you could throw out there. Plus they do have, I think, 1 or 2 picks left, and this is the last time they can really do that before
Mhm.
they go over into that super duper tax that they will go ahead and incur or be hit with in as far as
Yeah.
their mobility and movements next summer. So
Yeah.
their time is now, literally. So I think, is there anyone else that may be able to make a move or two that could put them in that category?
There are several teams that can make a move. You just named 2 of them right there. So but we'll see. Like, as currently constructed, those are the 5. But as far as to make a move, yeah, Golden State, I could see making a move, because they're not going to be content with just, okay, we had our run, now let's just pay all this tax and not try to win. That organization is too
They'll
smart.
pay it with a chase card.
Yeah, that organization is too smart. The Kings, I just don't see a move out there that's going to change the fact that they couldn't guard anyone. So there's that. And then, like, when you look around, like the team that I've been talking about probably the last 18 months, and I will continue to keep talking about them. If OKC, if something falls in their lap because of their assets able to move and trade, if they end up with a star level player to go with Chet and SGA, then they're in a conversation there. So outside of that, like, the Clippers don't have a bunch of things they could do. Like I said, Sacramento, I don't see the defense improving. Miami is going to try to get crazy and try to do something. I think if Embiid hits the market sometime this year, which I don't know if he will.
Do you think they learned their lesson from the Damian Lillard saga, as far as being, we can't hold back on the players or draft picks or whatever it is that we're trying to offer? We just got to go, if we do want to win now, because we do have an older roster. Butler's not getting any younger. Adebayo's not getting any younger. We better start going ahead and try to do what we can and not try to hold back and get cute, because as we see, if you get cute, someone's just going to come walking right in and offer something better.
Or someone's not going to want to really deal with you. You're going to be known around the league as someone who's not negotiating in good faith, right?
Yeah.
So I think they're going to try to do something. But of all the teams, as we saw with Dame, as we saw with Holiday, as we will see with these other players that potentially move, the Heat really just don't have the assets. They're going to try, but if they don't offer up someone like Bam, they're really not. It's going to be a struggle for them to get anyone of real value. Now the Knicks are interesting, because the Knicks could theoretically go out and add Towns and add Spider, like, in separate deals. They have the picks and the contracts to do it. I don't know if that makes them a contender. Probably not. But as far as a team that could potentially knock off one of those 2 in the East, if they add 2 players like that, maybe, depending on health and matchups. But I'm gonna sit on OKC. I'm gonna sit on I think the Warriors have something up their sleeve. I don't know what it is, and I don't know if it'll be enough. But I do not see them standing pat whatsoever. And but OKC would be my team that if they land like a Zion, or if they land like I don't think they'll get him. I don't think they're going to move Chet, but if they get like a Jaylen Brown for some reason, if it doesn't go right in Boston, you know what I mean? That's kind of my thing. Jaylen Brown, I'm kind of looking at OKC and the Kings, and I think he would be such a great fit on both those teams. So if Boston and I don't see how they're going to come out the gate just terrible, but we'll see. But if we're talking this year, OKC.
Okay. Fair enough. I could see that happening. Like you said, if they start off with some good momentum and seem to be pushing the timeline a little bit faster than what maybe Sam Presti on his whiteboard anticipates, you could be right on that. Because again, they have like 5,000 picks they could throw at people and a bevy of young talent. Choose one. Choose three. You've gotten plenty for you right here in Oklahoma City. Yeah, go ahead.
Total opposite of Miami negotiations. Total opposite.
Exactly. Exactly. Magic Man, though, I want to ask you this, my friend. I was going to say New Orleans, because New Orleans also has a bevy of picks and has kind of some young talent. But the problem is a lot of that young talent is injured. And that doesn't include Zion, who we're probably assuming will be injured at some point in time this season. But
that would be safe.
Again, let's say things start to get better for them. And remember, before things went awry for their season, they were number one in the Western Conference, I think heading into December, if I'm not mistaken. So again,
it was late. It wasn't going in December. It was late December. It was late December.
Okay, I forgot when Zion and the rest of that team fell apart, literally.
Like literally right after.
Yeah,
that's when the snowball started.
Exactly. It's because I know when Zion went out, they went down, and yeah, that happens. But
Ingram went out too, and they were all out, And so it was like,
and not only were they all out, gentlemen, Trey Murphy he really had a struggle shooting. So they really need a rebound season from him, Gerald. Along with everything going their way as far as health is concerned, because look, we know, I'm totally willing to die on the hill that Zion is a top 10 talent in the NBA when he's in the starting lineup. I know Joe's insistent that it's about availability, but the fact that remains, the talent is out of this world. That being said, Gerald, I really don't think they're interesting. You're right. As far as their treasure chest is concerned, I
can see them on the back end once they get everybody back to lineup, and if everybody else stays healthy. Because right now they have Marshall's out, Trey Murphy's out. Grand Theft Alvarado's out. Is there one more player that's hurt? I'm not sure.
Yes. It's on the tip of my tongue too, but
not their main three.
Their main three are healthy. Their main three are healthy.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, they could be one, they could be one of those sneaky teams that maybe tries to hook an OG from Toronto if Toronto's struggling, Gerald, or like Jeff was saying, there are a couple other teams who might just bottom out and just open up the gates and ask someone to be the brother, because that's all it takes in the NBA. Just be my brother, and we can make a good deal. On the flip side, Gerald, Jeff made a great point about the Knicks there, and it's funny, their opponent in the first round last year might end up playing each other again, the Cavs and the Knicks. Wouldn't surprise me if they played each other in the first round again. They got it, Gerald. I know they were spendthrifty, but the fact is, if something tells me one of the two in that situation won't work. I'm not sure if it's Strus or if I'm not sure if it's Niang, because Niang's a great bench player, so I imagine he'll continue in that role. But Strus got really hot in the playoffs, Gerald. During the regular season, he was really inconsistent, very inconsistent. So, again, you look at a team like Cleveland, right? We were talking about them, maybe a perimeter 3-and-D defender away if somehow Cleveland or I don't know.
Because at Cleveland's time,
somebody like
go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead,
no,
Josh.
if somebody like Cleveland or somebody if they had to pull a shoot, if somebody like Memphis or New Orleans happened to get somebody like Lou Dort, that would be a shot in the arm for a team like a Golden State or like a Memphis or like a Cleveland to vault themselves into being a dark horse contender.
The thing is, go ahead, Jeff.
No, go ahead. You were holding your point first, so go ahead.
No, I was going to say Howard Beck from The Ringer, a great writer, seems to not find a stable home though. He keeps hopping from place to place.
Real cool guy.
Well, once you get into the, it's funny as a reporter. Once you get into the stream, there's always somewhere you need to go in case someone lets
it's
go.
kind of funny. Kobe had an up and down relationship. It seems with like a lot of
because
reporters.
he was the Lakers writer.
Howard Beck
Yeah,
was
Howard
like
Beck
one
was.
of those guys who like
what up, Beck? Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is, and I'll get you in here in a sec, Joe. Don't worry. I got you. I got
saying
you.
hi to people. What are you talking about?
Oh, I didn't know you were saying.
Jesus Christ, pay attention, man.
Well, Daniel said hey a long time ago, so I didn't know.
I'm talking to Dante.
Oh, okay. No announcement on the pop-ups. Okay. I will say this. Just shut up, Joe. Anyways, when it comes to
Howard Beck,
yes, Cleveland Cavaliers. He said that the Cleveland Cavaliers are a much more of a shorter timetable because they have not re-signed or extended Donovan Mitchell, and players wanting to stay long term in Cleveland are few and far between that are not named LeBron James, and even LeBron James, we saw how long he stayed there. So I ask you, Jeff, let me bring it back to you. Cleveland is on a shorter time frame, but also has a bevy of young assets that you're going to go ahead and look into. They have a team that's built for the regular season, but have had postseason troubles. They need an upgrade in order to get to that level as well.
They need an upgrade. Absolutely. I kept saying last year they're very good defensively. They had a good regular season, but I felt that they were a year too early. And I saw them almost no matter who they played as a first round exit. I was pretty much saying that all year. I know, and I agree with Sean that Strus just has all the makings of a guy that got paid and is going to fall off the map. To me, wouldn't surprise me if he has a decent year, but it wouldn't surprise me if he just is out of the rotation come December. That's kind of the range of the spectrum there for me. When it comes to Cleveland, though, when you look at these teams out here, when you look at they're going to be hard pressed to really get any type of value back for anything that they look to shake up. They're probably not going to move Garland because he's pretty much there long term. They have a better chance of keeping him longer. And if they try to move Spider, he's probably going to try to flex to get to New York. So, and as far as not signing the extension with Cleveland, he's not going to sign the extension in Cleveland. It's not going to happen. So, I as far as I can tell from everything I've heard, he's essentially already told them he's not going to sign it. So they have to roll the dice on free agency with him or move him and try to move him at a point where he still has enough value in the trade where you can leverage the other team. So he's got, I think they can get through next season's trade deadline and still probably try to get something for him. But if they know they're not going to keep him and they're trying to get something, they may move him now. That way another team that may not keep him long term may say, okay, I'll take him now, and maybe we've got him for a couple of years and worry about it then. So, but I don't see a lot of ways they have to get better. I see them going backwards, and even the Knicks, I see the Knicks even almost slipping a little bit where they were last year too. So, but I do see a scenario where the Knicks and the Cleveland get engaged on talks for Spider. I can see that happening this season. I don't think there's going to be a bunch coming back that's going to benefit Cleveland this year. I think it'd be more about the future. The Knicks got a lot of picks. They got a lot of pick options, protections, and all this thing with other teams. They've got very movable money. Hell, you could do Brunson for Spider heads up today. So obviously there have to be some picks involved on the Knicks side, but money wise, you can make it work. And so I don't see anything out there that Cleveland does that they can make a move to make them better this year, and people that they can keep, which is kind of where they're at now with Spider. So I don't see what their move is, other than trying to get younger again, like, and get another like controllable asset that they can probably keep for 7 years and figure it out. Outside of that, like you said, who's coming to Cleveland? Like, I think Joakim Noah's got some feelings on that too. So,
And
That
that's
he does.
and that's the difference, Joe. But that's the amazing difference between an owner that's got deep pockets and one that's only willing to go a little bit over. And you got to really press. And Gerald, if you're in a Cleveland or if you're in an OKC, you got to get down on your knees in some situations.
with knee pads.
Yes.
OKC, I think, is different. I think they're just biding their time. I think Sam Presti has full control of that team, and
I
if
think
he
so.
wants to
I
go
think
ahead and push
so.
the go button, he just has to tell the owners. But I think he has that full control. They have that full belief and confidence behind them. But again, we'll see. But also here today, good man indeed. You got to go ahead and check him out as Simblades, Simblades with a Y.com, and also Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. It is Joe Soro. Joe Soro is here. You're talking about contenders, possible contenders. We're not doing a full-blown season preview. That's going to come on Monday. But who do you see as potential rivals this season for the Los Angeles Lakers?
Definitely Phoenix. I think that's going to be
You were impressed by last night?
Yeah, I saw the second unit playing their rear ends off when they didn't have to. And the fact that Frank Vogel is the coach, any professional is always going to have a little bit extra for the team that didn't believe in him, right? This is after he won a championship too. And
I agree with you there.
I can't blame Frank Vogel either, because I think he got a raw deal in that deal. He ended up getting jettisoned because of Russell Westbrook, and unfortunately, some people don't get that was the problem, not Frank Vogel. Frank Vogel is a company guy, and that sometimes can go against you. I think if Frank Vogel was a little bit more assertive in his verbiage, I believe Rob Pelinka might have maybe played a little bit more in that direction in terms of supporting him. But when you're passive aggressive, there's always that confusion on whether you are capable or not capable. That's why I'm not a believer in passive aggressiveness. That seems to be like a millennial thing, by the way, for those millennials that are listening.
LeBron is very passive aggressive.
He is, and that's what's pissed us off about him in general. And it's usually off the court. He's never really angered me on the court. Yeah, there's been times where he would pass when I wish he'd go to the hoop, but he's made up for that the last few years, where he's actually he's taken that torch and going with it. So, rivalry, definitely Phoenix. Obviously, Denver is going to play a part in that. And then, of course, you're going to have anybody in the Pacific Division, although I do think the Kings are going to come back to earth. And then Golden State Warriors, right? They're going to try to continue to hold that champion dynasty thing above everybody. But in reality, they're Steph Curry, a one-legged Klay Thompson, and a burnt-out Draymond Green team, and that's it. They don't really have anything else, and I'm just not afraid of them at all.
Do you put them in that category? Because I said they're probably a move away, and because they do have the assets to do so.
They're not a move away. They're 2 moves away, and they'd have to get rid of, in my opinion, Klay Thompson and Draymond Green in that deal. They'd have to get 2 guys that have massive skills that can work with Steph.
Bona fide.
Bona
fide.
Orale, bona fide.
No, that's Joe. That's what you're gonna need now.
Yeah, they're
you want to win a championship, you got to get bona fide, not just good, not just great, bona fide.
So
getting rid of Klay Thompson could be a possibility because they may not want to sign him to an extension.
And the problem is who's going to give him a max deal. So you're kind of losing both ways. You have no one that's going to pay him, and then Golden State doesn't want to pay him, which is sad too, because you look at why the hell did you sign Draymond then? Klay has better life left than Draymond.
25 a year, basically, I think, for 4 years.
Terrible. They should have let him go. We know why Bob Myers left, guys. It's not that hard to figure out. It's very I would guarantee it that Bob Myers wanted to restart this thing a little bit, not all the way, because you still have Steph Curry, you still have Steve Kerr as the captain, but you're gonna have to make some tough calls. And of course, Steph kind of buried himself. I think he was the culprit to where he's like, no, I don't want my boys gone. I might be wrong, but I think that's really what it is. And in a weird way.
So Joe, you thought that Bob Myers wanted to go the Howie Roseman route in Philadelphia with the Eagles, where we go backwards for a year or two, but we move forward for the next 5.
They had to, because they
I agree. I agree.
They had the worst luck in the draft when they could
with the Wiseman pick.
The Wiseman, and it wasn't their fault. We talked about this on a show a few days ago. That's one of the worst drafts of the last decade. It just did not produce really anything. I'm sorry, Anthony Edwards. You're a good player, but you're not a number 1 pick. You're a number 1 pick by just law
You don't
of
think
averages.
he'll ever step up?
No.
You don't think Ant will be?
No.
That, okay.
No, I don't think Ant will ever be a number 1, ever. He could be a number 1 for a team, but he'll never be a contending number 1. A guy that you're like, shoot, we got to worry about this guy.
So you think he's number 2?
He's a number 2 at best. He would need a number 1. Cat has proven he is not a number 1 either.
Don't ever say Joe doesn't make a strong take, because that's a strong take.
Guys, it's not that difficult, okay? We keep saying these guys are great. Stop doing that. Stop.
I wouldn't say he's great. I would say
he's great.
Oh, believe me, I hear it all the time.
He's had some glimpses.
Great. He has 2 playoff games that are off the charts 2 years ago. All of a sudden, he's the next freaking Michael Jordan. Stop. Enough. You have
he's
Steph.
still pretty young. Yeah,
he's pretty good, but that's not good enough to win titles and contend. If he was, he wouldn't be in the play-in every damn year. Okay, come on. First overall pick. You got the skill set, but you're too busy eating fried chicken all over the place. Come on. This is not. This is based off of Cat, by the way. Not. I'm just going by the information I'm getting.
I know he made the Popeyes comment. I know
he wants Popeyes. I'm sorry, guys. I don't eat Popeyes, but I've heard some things about Popeyes, and it's really not good for professional. It's not good for anybody, but definitely not for professional athletes. So I'm just not. Too many very good players are going in the Hall of Fame, and we judge these players way too easy in being great players. They're not. They're not great players. LeBron is great. Durant, when he was on, was great. Steph is great. Those are great players. Why? You've seen the results. Giannis is great. Okay.
Joe, where's the best place to get a chicken sandwich in California then? Not going to Popeyes.
Chicken sandwich. Honestly, I don't know. I'm still a Wendy's number 6 guy. A lot of history there.
Gerald, do you want to chime in here? You have any comments?
I'll just say I was actually just posting in the chat just to think about it, because I stopped by Zippy's, which is a famous Hawaiian food chain, fast food chain in Hawaii. They just opened up a location here in Las Vegas because they consider this the 9th island, quote unquote. But yeah, it's tremendous. Really good food there. Huge crowds.
The Hawaiian rolls.
Yeah.
Please don't put those in front of me. I'll eat like half the bag.
It was really good, and it was a really cool place to go. It's really nice. But yeah,
man,
best chicken sandwich in Las Vegas. I don't know. That's
those Hawaiian breads. My mom worked in a bakery growing up. God rest her soul. She used to bring the freshest baguettes. I don't need butter. Sorry, Sean. I didn't need
Raising
jelly. Cane's is not bad, by the way.
King's okay.
Okay.
I don't
It's
need.
good.
I didn't. The best bread biscuit is Red Lobster.
Cheddar biscuits.
Bonafide. You want to talk about bonafide? I haven't eaten those in years, but my God, that bread. I remember I used to go to Red Lobster when I lived like a schlepper, and I used to go and get a steak and lobster, and I'm sitting there eating the bread. I'm like, can I just buy the bread and leave?
You can.
You can. Costco.
You can at
Costco.
No, that's like buying when you buy that stuff from like when it's available. That's dangerous. Like putting soda in your.
They buy the mix. Yeah, you can just
It's
walk
the
in the
real
grocery
Joe.
You
It's
can
the
buy a
it's
bunch of
the
them.
real
biscuit
deal.
mix.
It's the real deal. Gerald told me about this
Yeah,
already.
the biscuit mix at
I
Costco
bought
is just like the actual.
I bought the mix. I
Taste.
made them, Joe. Exact.
They're
can make it
exact.
Yeah,
Exact.
exact.
But I would say as far as like the chicken sandwiches go, it's fast food, so it's inconsistent. But the Popeyes chicken sandwich to me is the goated one. I don't eat Popeyes.
No,
too
but
often,
okay,
but I
so-
do eat the
Remember when
sandwich.
they first started? There were like lines around the
let's-
2-hour,
let-
3-hour waits for it.
Instead
yeah,
of thinking
There
like
was a reason for that.
instead of thinking
good.
in like chains, how about this? What's the best deli restaurant in LA,
Oh,
Jeff?
In LA, oh
Yeah.
man, a lot of them.
You already went on. You already talked about New York. as far as
Jerry's?
the variations on that.
There's a lot of them didn't survive COVID, so
Jerry's.
there is no more Jerry's. So Jerry's is gone. Langer, like the staple, like Langer's, Cantor's, Brent's is pretty good, but all the ones like the old school like Italian delis or Jewish delis, like the New York, the ones that are like from New York but came to LA, the ones who like know how to do it, a lot of them are gone. So like Jerry's did not survive. And Jerry's was a pretty big deal one. They even had one like a bowling alley. Like it was pretty big.
Don't get us started talking about food, Dante. We'll go on for like an hours on that. Yes.
Yeah, but probably like Cantor's East Side Deli is incredible. Like I said, Brent's is pretty good, but like a lot of the ones that were like the true like culture delis, most of them are gone. You'll see places like label the deli down, like a spot that looks like kind of like a bodega, but it's a deli, like in a convenience store or something like that. But as far as like a deli in LA, not too many left. I think you can. Damn. New York still got it popping though for delis. That's still the deli capital of the United States of America. But LA is struggling with the delis right now.
I'm sorry, Sean. I do have a chicken sandwich.
Okay.
I do
Let's
have
hear
it.
I
don't know why I forgot. There's a dive bar that started in Pacific Beach in San Diego called Bubs. It's a Steeler bar. I used to watch the Steeler games there when I was in San Diego.
That's a great name for a bar, by the way.
It is.
Bubs.
They have a sandwich, and then they expanded to the one I go to now, probably every 3 or 4 months when I'm downtown San Diego. It's downtown, right next to my buddy's high-rise condo. So we'll go over there and meet up, and then it's like 10 steps from the stadium, Petco Park, too.
Oh, so it's a gas lamp.
Yes.
Yeah, gas lamp's great.
They have
Tremendous
a sandwich
food.
called the Archie's. It is the greatest sandwich, let alone a chicken sandwich you'll ever eat in your life, in my opinion.
Okay, what toppings we got?
It's cut up chicken. The chicken is always good. There's no gaminess because the Popeyes and all those, sometimes they have some funky chicken in there, right?
Okay, we got sliced chicken.
It's sliced chicken. There's cheese on it. There's this special sauce, spice that they put in it. They put mushrooms in it, and it's on a sourdough that's not sour. It's freaking like a baguette, and then they serve it with tater tots. It is the best, most cheesiest, delicious, soft, freaking creamy. All the senses hit when you eat that sandwich, and I can sometimes barely finish it because it's so rich in goodness, right? So that if you ever come to Southern California, I'll take you there. And
there's no if about it. Gotta make it happen. There's gonna be an LFB meetup. There's gonna be I gotta meet up with Laker Tom because we're 3,000 miles away and time's a wasting for the both of us. So we gotta make that happen too. So I got a lot on the checklist, Joe. So it's not a matter of when. It's if.
It's a matter of when. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll take you to all the good spots, and then of course I gotta take you to the taco spot, the fish taco spot in Chula Vista.
Intel Portos, yes. I mean, if you were into lines, like I was into today when talking about Zippy's, but Zippy's brand new, so expect the line there.
Speaking of
Portos.
places,
I can get you the fast pass at Portos, though. I can get you the front of Portos.
You might, yes, absolutely. There and Uncle Tetsu. Those are the two bakeries. Yeah, those two places have like lines, and Portos at all their locations. I like the newer location. Oh, it's in Anaheim. I think.
I think the newest one is Northridge.
Okay.
But
Jeff, what city are you
there's
in?
one right near Disneyland.
I'm in Arleta.
You're in Alameda County?
Arleta. So I'm
Oh,
basically,
Arleta.
yeah,
It's by Knott's Berry Farm. It's by Knott's Berry
I mean,
Farm.
so I'm between Burbank and Valencia.
You're like
And
45,
so you got
50 minutes from
Burbank
me.
is a nice area.
I know
Valencia
exactly
a
where
nice
that is.
area.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere in the middle. That
Yeah, I know exactly where that is.
like, so anyways, real quick.
Anytime I go to Southern California, I have to go get stuff from Portos. I have
Portos
to
is
take it
great.
back to
Yeah,
I have to
Portos.
bring it back to Las Vegas with me.
I got a
How,
couple.
how much we talking here, Gerald? Like half your
usually-
trunk?
It's about $150 worth. Usually had in that range. Just, yeah.
Yeah,
And that
All
is
right,
Uncle
it's that
Tetsu.
good. Okay.
That and Uncle Tetsu cheesecake. Yeah. So
That's good too.
there you go. But getting back to what's going on, it's the Lakers fast break. It is.
Well,
Joe
speaking
Storrow,
of the city
Fire
with the
Jeff,
most,
Magic Man.
Gerald, as we
We'll
were
talk
talking,
food. We'll do food episodes.
yeah,
that's for sure.
absolutely. As we were talking about,
If it gets
you know,
people listening, absolutely. Go
who
ahead,
the hell
Magic.
know? Yeah, Gerald, we were talking about one team that probably has the most blandest food in the whole NBA, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Nothing really. They got somewhat of a Swedish thing going on there, but it's not really Swedish.
Got that
Yeah.
super duper
It's
mall.
not really.
No,
Yeah,
no
it's
good
not really.
food places in
It's-
that
All of
super big mall they
America's
got.
No, the
Roller
Mall of
coaster.
America.
I've been there.
Yeah,
That is a massive mall, but malls are done now, basically. So
but Gerald, that team right there. We like. It's almost the song remains the same. Shout out to Led Zeppelin. The song remains the same with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I mean, even if they have a bit of a comeback year, let's say they go 47-35 or 49-33, whatever, I still think that's a regular season team too. No matter what they do, and we've talked about this, and Empire Jeff has also talked about it as well, and it's starting to whisper. Well, Gobert's contract doesn't look that bad going forward. It still remains the problem that no matter what moves they kind of make, Gerald, is that teams know they're kind of in a spider web, because he is a liability when it comes to the playoffs. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is who he is at this point. You can't remold him. The clay has hardened. This is who Rudy Gobert is.
You just can't play him down the clutch in the clutch down the stretch in a playoff game. You just can't.
When your hands are tied like that, it's really hard to even try and make a move to free yourself and then thrive. So I still don't think they're in a position of strength at all. And even with Ant and Joe, I think it's too early for us to make that call on Ant quite as yet. I think I agree with Gerald and Jeff. I think he's on a trajectory to being that player. He's just gotta make it happen, put it all together. It's almost there.
I think he has a better career than Cat, though. I think he has a better career than Cat.
And that's another player. Like, what a value can you get for this person as well? We talk about him as Gerald. We know these contracts have value in terms of monetary and fiduciary consequences, but you also need to get like tangible, fungible assets, and you can't for Cat either, Gerald, because although he's self-proclaimed best shooting big man that ever walked into the NBA. No, you're not. No, you're not. But he is a defensive liability in and of itself as well. He's shown, look, it is what it is for some people in their immune system. He gets a cold. Most people get a cold. They're over in about a week to 10 days. It could take 2 weeks, 3 weeks for Cat, Gerald. We've seen that as far as injury history goes.
Well, we saw Rui Hashimura just really in that second half of the game really clamped down on him.
Yeah.
So you can take him out of the game a little bit easier than most. I don't want to say superstar because I don't think he's ever qualified at that level.
Big
but
name
most
player.
big name player, big star level, maybe really good players.
It's the sort of star.
Yeah, sort of star. But I've seen Rui been able to provide a lot of good defense against him, and Rui is a rotation player. he is not at that level which most would perceive that he would be. Yet he controlled him pretty handily in that second half. So I don't know, Magic Man. I just see some issues with Minnesota in a playoff scheme, unless Ant really does become the player that Joe does not expect him to be. So that's the only scenario I think Minnesota would do that as far as being at that level in a playoff run. But I do see if they stay healthy to be very successful in the regular season. I do see
I
them as a
agree.
top 8 team. Where I'm not sure yet. I'm going to be deciding that, and we'll drop that on Monday. But yeah, I do see them at that
Well,
level. But
and we're also waiting on the Cinderella extension for McDaniels as well, Gerald. So they're they're kind of handcuffed for making moves themselves.
They're very
It's just
handcuffed.
kind of stuck in neutral in the ditch, and it's raining. And if you walk outside, you're gonna slip on the mud, and you might fall underneath the car, and then that's when it's gonna go out of gear, and you're both gonna go tumbling down the ravine.
And it's funny because they're in that position where they're almost in a position where they've got to do the move to try to keep Ant happy, but no move they're going to do is going to work because he's going to leave anyways eventually. So I do think he
And
takes a pretty
You know
good
what's
leap.
hilarious is that when Tim Connolly was in Denver, he decided to move off of Jared Vanderbilt.
Mhm.
Gerald, he's the one who said, "Nope, we're going to trade him." Then he goes to Minnesota, and one of his very first moves is, "Yeah, oh, Jared Vanderbilt. Oh, I already traded him once. I really don't like his game. I'm just going to trade him again."
well, it is repetitive to some of the other things that he has there already. Some of the players that he has there already do a lot of the same things that Vanderbilt does, and shoot a little bit better, more consistent
Gerald,
than Vanderbilt does.
Minnesota had Walker Kessler in the palm of their hands,
Oh yeah, they blew it.
and
Yeah, and they blew it.
And you could argue that even if you
I
had,
thought Kessler was going to be good. I really did. I said it on this show.
but if even if you thought that Minnesota had a choice of like that there were offers for like they could pick if they wanted to move Cat or Rudy, right? You almost with Joker in the conference and probably going to be a heavy force for the next at least 5 years, right? You almost have to keep Rudy just because of that.
Yeah.
And so Cat going out of there is probably it's I think is almost automatic at this point. I'm not sure he survives the trade deadline this season. So, but the team I really want to like zero in on though, because I do think that the Warriors can get crazy. I really think they can because I mean you guys saw their draft status is not as bad as people think. So it's like I mean they could 26 is still got some things to sort out, but 27, 28, 29 they own. And those are the picks if you're another team you would want.
Plus you got Kuminga and Moody and you also
Paul's
have
contract. You can get the 40. Oh, you can get north of $40 million and valuable picks.
Yeah.
So someone like again, if someone like Embiid becomes available, and if Philly makes him available, they're gonna blow it up and they're gonna want picks and they're gonna want value picks. So I think the Warriors can do something to jumpstart this, but not a long-term run because they're not trading Steph.
But they don't have that in mind right now, Jeff. They know their time is extremely limited. I think they're very well aware of that, especially with Curry, 35 years old now, Klay Thompson. Joe said they're not even either trade him. They're not going to sign him to an extension, or if they are, they're not letting themselves on that. And then, of course, you got Draymond. He's up there beyond 30. You've got all these 30-year-old players. Plus, their options are extremely limited. They can't play the long game now. They have to play the short game.
Well, yes and no. So if you look at so this is where things go because if you look at like Draymond's money right now looks bloated. Draymond's money in a year from now is going to look slightly above mid-level. So because they're talking about mid-level getting to like 16 million, right? Draymond's what, 22? So like I said, when you got guys, the Jaylen Brown contract and these guys making 35, 40 million, 50, 60 million, 40 million is going to be that middle tier. Draymond's making 22. So they'll be able to get off that. So if they're willing to take the bigger money and longer term back, I think there's a play where they could remap this with their picks, with some of these bigger contracts and kick the tires on something that could extend it a few years. But it's going to have to be somewhat of a teardown as they know it. The Draymonds, the Clays, stuff like that, trying to extend. Like if they've got visions of Steph playing towards 40 like Braun, which I don't know if he'll hold up, but I'm saying if that they've got things they could do as early as this year and things they could do for the next 3 years. So their books, when you look at it, it's not as dire as things could say. The problem with them is going to be is when they're in that second tier having to move dollar for dollar. So being able to move Draymond without aggregating something else in to add on top of that 22, they're going to have to find like another $22 million player that they like that's younger to move Draymond for that other team is willing to move. That's where the kind of the murkiness is going to be there. But these and I think they're willing to extend Clay. They just don't want to give him the max, and he wants the max. So maybe he comes off that at some point, and maybe they do something with him. But I agree as far as, and I do know, and I do agree that they do believe that they've got to operate for now if they want to win with this group. But if they
want to give him a contract, something what they have similar to Draymond Green, they want to give him that number. And Clay says, no, I want something a lot better.
I don't know who's going to give him that though. So like if he hits the market, and maybe you guys think differently, if Klay Thompson hits the market, he's looking for a three-year extension, a 3-year max extension. Is he getting anywhere near that on the open market? I don't think so. So
can he get 30 to 35 a year
for 3 years? You think someone's going to sign Klay for 3 years? I don't know.
I mean, we saw Indiana go all out for at least 1 year with Bruce Brown.
I think you know what, Gerald. I think with that number, you'd have to attach like a lot of options.
Yes, but not a 3 year full, not a 3 year fully guaranteed. I don't think he's.
I would give him like 1 year, $30 million. Sure, that's going to sell me some tickets early on and probably in the dog days. But you know,
Clippers could get desperate.
Yes, we're talking about desperate times, calls for desperate measures, but they wouldn't have the money.
Unless they trade off someone.
And again, like they
Paul George,
they let go of the best statistical 3-point shooter in the league.
George was on the trade block earlier this summer.
Oh yeah. Like Daryl Morey says, you know, if they don't really want to trade Terrence Mann, they should just trade Paul George for James Harden straight up. I mean, both these organizations are on some serious drugs right now.
I will tell you this though, Morey didn't pull that out of his ass.
You know, he didn't.
I'll tell you that right now.
The
reason why is because the Clippers. I'm telling you, I noticed for a fact the Clippers lined up 3 deals that they would have been comfortable with making with George. They had it lined up around the time of the Brogdon trade, and they pulled out of the Brogdon trade because there was traction on something.
Was it a health issue? I thought it was he
with Brogdon's shoulder. It was.
They pulled out of it because
it fell through. I heard the same thing. Jeff.
It fell through because of that. But the Clippers would have everything medical said he was going to make a full recovery. So, like I said, they pulled out of it because they were lining up something with Paul George, and they thought they were getting close on something. And the Brogdon thing, they did pull out of. The Clippers have pulled out of about 6 trades this offseason. That 2 have leaked that they pulled out of.
And I smell a rat here. I really do, because you're talking about Gerald, a Terrence Mann that's an 8 points per game player.
27-year-old prospect.
27-year-old prospect. This isn't Coutinho Mobley who goes from scoring 8 points to scoring 18. You're like, whoa, we got to notice this dude now. He grabbed everybody's attention. He's been in the league long enough where he isn't.
He had a good stretch in the playoffs. What, 4 or 5 seasons ago?
Yeah, 4 or 5 seasons ago.
But they also have not extended him. They have not extended him.
And they're talking about 2 firsts for him to go to Philly. And then there's a rumor that Morey says now, I got trades lined up, Rolodex, to get an unprotected first. 3 firsts, 2 unprotected firsts, a swap for an 8-point per game player. Gerald, if you thought there was a ruckus and a riot about Rudy Gobert, this one would absolutely just explode executives' brains all over the 4 walls of their offices.
Let me get Joe in here. Joe, let me ask you this. When it comes to Boston and Milwaukee, do you see them at the same level you're talking about with Phoenix and also as well Denver? We just kind of give Denver for granted. We just expect them to be at that level. Obviously, they have one of the best starting fives that are out there. They've won the championship. I'm still kind of iffy on their bench. Magic Man is more confident on the rotation players behind them than I am. Your thoughts, though, on Boston and Milwaukee? Both have tried to load up this offseason with various trades. Do you see them at that same level as the Lakers, Denver, and Phoenix?
So I want to make an assessment here on all these teams, saying that there's not going to be any major injuries, so it's an easy discussion. If there aren't any major injuries to all the main players for Denver, Phoenix, LA, Boston, or Milwaukee, Boston and Milwaukee are going to battle for the East. It'll be a 6 or 7 game series for sure.
Do you think any signs, though, on Milwaukee after what happened with Terry Stotts and the disagreement with Adrian Griffin? Do you think there's something?
Adrian Griffin would have to really crap the bed for that situation not to work. Giannis was quoted saying, "I have never been this open in my life." That's a very dangerous comment for the opposition. And Dame Lillard is a dangerous player. When the trade went down, my first instinct is like, oh shoot. That was my first instinct in my head. That is the perfect player for Giannis, is Dame Lillard. Because Dame Lillard does everything Giannis needs. And then you get a healthy Middleton. Yeah, it's going to be.
I think that's the key right there.
Yeah, it's going to be a very dangerous team. As far as Phoenix, Durant, we saw last night. If he's on, you've got a problem. And then you got Booker, who's young and pretty much right now into his prime squared. So he's a problem. And then as far as Bradley Beal can play the third role 60 games a year and play the third role and be fine and then contribute a lot in the playoffs. So they're going to be a dangerous team. Their depth is somewhat okay, not too good. They don't really have any presence up front. I know Nurkic is there, but I'm not really scared of them, but they are a major threat. Denver is the champs. I have a feeling they're going to come down a little bit. Just because that's usually what happens to most of these teams. There hasn't been a back-to-back champion really since the 17-18, or there hasn't been a back-to-back champion since 17 and 18. And that particular team, you had 3 of the greatest shooters in their prime on that team and a defensive player of the year. Plus, that team almost got bounced until Chris Paul got injured in Game 6. So it's very difficult to be back-to-back champs. I don't see Denver winning it all again. LA, I'm not saying this because I'm a Laker fan. You have LeBron James motivated and looking pretty darn good. And then you got AD, who, if he's on, is the best player in the NBA.
50-1 shot and a 30-1 shot for LeBron and AD for the MVP.
I would take that bet. I would put 100 on that. Know. Just because it could happen. What if LeBron plays 75 games, averages 30, 7 and 7, and they're a 1 seed? What are you going to do? Do you see Giannis being an MVP candidate? Yeah. Embiid? Yeah, but his team's going to stink. Is Jason Tatum going to be an MVP? Maybe.
If Boston's winning and his numbers are up there, and majority of the media being from Boston, probably.
But Jason Tatum has a habit of kind of disappearing too. He'd have to play perfect. During the year without any hitches. But if LeBron is dropping 37 and 7, the Lakers are a 1 seed. He's got a real good chance of winning his 5th MVP.
Okay.
So with all that, we are going to have a very competitive champion. I believe the finals will be very, very competitive, and I believe the Eastern Conference and Western Conference finals will be very competitive. And that's pretty much what it's going to look like.
And that's that.
and that's that.
Magic Man, just
I
want
gotta
to
get my big glasses though.
getting back to the Drippers for a second
Can
here.
still pick the winners.
They announced that Terrence Mann will be in the starting lineup.
What is this infatuation with Terrence Mann?
That's what I want to know. Because like Jim
And he's
just
not
said,
even the most
didn't
famous
extend
Terrence Mann.
Who the hell said? I know I read it. Who the hell said this guy was untouchable? Are they just saying that to tell Philly?
He's not untouchable. They tried to trade him twice this offseason.
Yeah,
he was offered for Game and he was offered for Holiday.
But how interesting is it that they named him to the starting lineup today?
Of course. A couple of bomb words went off with rumors here. One was untouchable, and the other one was covet. I was like, covet? I was like you covet a Lamborghini. You see driving down the street, Gerald. You covet $1 million house if you want that kind of stuff. You're coveting an 8 points per game player that you haven't wanted to acquire yet, but somehow, he's just about to break out, Gerald. He's a late bloomer, but he's gonna break out here.
Well, it's just one of those interesting trends that I'm seeing with starting lineups where they're getting away from traditional and standard stuff, and they're going with more. In fact, this Clippers lineup is going to have Westbrook. Of course, you have also Kawhi and PG and Ivica Zubats along with Terrence Mann. That's not the ideal setup as far as what you did in the past. Same thing with Phoenix. Phoenix is not going to have, a traditional lineup either when they throw that out there as well. And we're seeing more and more teams starting to go to that as far as these kind of hybrid type starting lineups. In fact, the Lakers at times could throw out lineups that could look a little bit different. They tried it last night and you saw what happened that third quarter. And I think they probably won't do that particular lineup again, but
Gerald,
these lineups are changing from standard. Like for instance, you would say with the Clippers, Magic Man, there's no power forward. What's up with that? Well, again, that's seems to be more like they're going to go a lot more 5 out, like they're going to go a lot more as far as from the outside, that they're going to go ahead and bank on that. Same thing with Phoenix, same thing with some of these other teams that are going to be more heavily reliant on these 5 out or at least 4 out lineups out there. So
yeah, absolutely, Gerald. And like, let's be honest though, the Clippers' success is more reliant on somebody like Norm Powell, who's an actual.
They really want him coming off the bench.
Then let me finish. Yeah, then Terrence Mann, right? Yeah, absolutely. Came off the bench in Toronto, signed a big contract, ended up in Portland. Gerald, wasn't the numbers said that Norm Powell's better off the bench than he is as a starter. He's a hell of a bench player. Potential 6th man of the year as well. But that's basically why they need him on the bench, Gerald. They after their top 6, it's really iffy. It's really iffy. And they're relying on, I'm guessing, at least 4 out of those 6 being healthy most of the season, because I think they can kind of tread water and still compete in the West. But yeah, it's interesting. I really don't understand. I understand it from that perspective. You're absolutely right. They need his scoring punch off the bench, but Mann is not really a defensive specialist either. He hasn't really stood out in any sense of that side of the ball. He's got pretty good length. Yeah, it's pretty decent speed, but nothing stands out. There's no burst. There's no level of intensity. So I understand the trends, Gerald, and you're right. Like, the NBA is a copycat league as well. What's trendy today is trendy for me. So I think Lou's just going with the trends, like you said, Gerald. I think it's just going to bite them in the ass again.
So let me ask you this, Jeff. There's no one else that stands out to you, no other team that stands out to you that could be a potential rival to either the Lakers or in the Eastern Conference to the Big Two there. Cleveland, we talked about. Cleveland's going to have probably a pretty good regular season, but nobody believes that they can probably push that far in the playoffs with the kind of mismatched lineup that they have with the two bigs and then the two smalls and really not much in between on that. So is there anyone else out there that kind of stands out to you that may have like a Sacramento Kings season where just out of nowhere they'll pop into the top three?
Well, I've got OKC taking that Sacramento Kings season this year. I think the wild card in the West completely is Memphis because I have no idea what that team is going to be like. I have no idea what they're going to look like without Ja. I have no idea what he's going to be like when he gets back. I have no idea if he's going to be able to stay on the court or stay out of trouble. Memphis is a major wild card because if Ja comes back killing and they're healthy and they're playing well and they end up perhaps with a lower seed because Ja was out, and now you've got a 6 or 7 seeded Memphis Grizzlies team. If you're a top seed in the West, you don't want that's like the Lakers all over again. That's a tough matchup in the first round. So Memphis is a wild card. I think Sacramento will be a team that will chase a better record than they had last year. I don't know if they'll get it. But again, they're not going to be able to guard anybody. They're not going to be able to stop anybody. And teams know now they're not sneaking up on anybody. I don't think OKC is sneaking up on anybody either. I think the league expects them to be good. I don't think they're really a sleeper anymore. But that's another team that I wouldn't want to face in the first round of a playoff because they're troublesome. So outside of that, it's too hard to tell unless there's a move made. Like right now, there are not 5.5 contenders in this league. There are 5, and that is it. And as currently constructed, unless there's a major move that happens, and 2 of those 5 are in the Western Conference. The East has the advantage because they really only have to beat 2. The West, you might have to beat, might have to beat 3. So I don't see anything unless there's a major trade. And I think there will be major trades, but I can't necessarily predict where those players will land and how that can escalate a team that's not considered a contender right now. So without having that information, it's hard to tell. But right now I don't, and even if OKC, I don't see them as a rival / contender. I think they can be a pain in the ass. They can maybe get around, but I don't see them getting to a conference finals. There's no one out there really that I can see right now.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is Empire Jeff TV, Magic Man Sean Grice, and Joe Soro, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Joe, who is the first big name that will be traded, not named James Harden? Because we know James Harden's that saga is continuing. He didn't play in any of the exhibition games. He's not going to practice. We know that, and all that. I don't even think if he does get traded to the Clippers that it really just moves the needle enough for them in that much of a direction that's going to make them, surpass the Lakers, Denver, Phoenix. Which is the big name that would actually you see changing the landscape of the NBA if there is one out there this year?
I had Cat earlier in the summer as a guy that's going to get traded, but there's something brewing in Philly that's making me think that Embiid might demand a trade before the deadline now.
Okay.
And maybe I don't think it'll happen, but he's probably going to want to go to Miami.
Okay.
People talk about New York, but even if he gets traded to New York, I don't know.
Gerald. Again, this is just a skim preview, not a total preview, but a skim preview of what we're given on Monday. But Gerald, I don't see them making any moves either. I agree with Empire Jeff. But Danny Ainge and Pat Riles ain't getting any younger, Gerald, and he doesn't. It's championship or bust for the Miami Heat for Riles. He could give.
But you mentioned Ainge.
Yeah, Ainge. Well, I believe
Gerald, he's a wild card in all this.
Well, he is. He is always the wild card. He was a wild card when he played, and now he's a wild card when he's an executive.
Think Markkanen could go.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely in play, Gerald. That's That's right there. He can
The old buy at your, sell at your peak.
buy low, sell
Yeah.
high.
Yeah,
Yes.
And
sell
his,
high.
and his value may never be higher.
His
Yeah.
value is probably never going to be
For
higher.
who though?
That's
the
kind of
thing.
that like Jeff was saying, the kind of murkiness, cloudiness in
What
the air.
position is he playing mostly?
He's mostly playing power forward.
Yeah, power forward.
OKC all over the place for someone like him.
It could make sense. Makes a lot of sense there, especially with
Clippers.
With Ainge, because Danny wants
Clippers
to
are a good point because the Clippers are not starting a power forward.
Yeah, but
as
they don't
of
have
right now.
jack squat to give Danny Ainge. I don't think that happens.
They've got some picks now. They got picks now.
What, 28 and 30?
Yep, and that's what you'd want.
Yeah.
So like I said, all these teams that are now the ones who didn't have picks, except for Phoenix doesn't have any. Milwaukee now doesn't have any. Milwaukee and Phoenix almost have no way.
They're
to
tapped
correct
out.
themselves.
They're
Yeah,
tapped
and
out.
Boston still does. That's scary.
Well,
Yeah,
they have picks, but they don't have the depth in contracts. So they're all missing something. So because Boston, when you get past Tatum, Brown, Porzingis, and Holiday, which is your core four, if you're looking to add to that, you don't have much else to move. You have picks, but you don't have really any money to move. Brogdon's gone.
Oh yeah,
Brogdon's done.
I think the highest one that they got like Horford.
Pritchard you can't touch because he signed the extension.
Yep.
Right.
So they don't have. So where you've got limitations for both those teams. Milwaukee, none of these guys can sign buyouts. None of these guys. Milwaukee has no more picks, so they really don't have ways to gradually improve, and they can't add via buyout. Boston has the picks that Milwaukee doesn't have, but they don't have the depth and salaries in through 12 that Milwaukee has to make a deal. Boston's kind of screwed from a trade perspective. So when you start looking around at those things, you start looking at these teams out there. The Clippers could make that trade, and the Clippers, the reason why the Clippers have to do something before they get into that second apron dollar for dollar no aggregation move, because then they're screwed more than anyone when that happens. So they have to make a move prior to July 1st of next year. But those other teams, but the Clippers, something like marketing, you could probably give up a pick and some swaps and some filler, and you might be able to get him. But the Clippers, OKC, Golden State, like these teams that we talked about, Sacramento, marketing could be a team that moves a team up to 2 or 3 spots.
Because everybody has to remember something too. Dom Sabonis renegotiated his contract. Lauri Markkanen is up for the same kind of extension, Gerald, and he can front load the hell out of that deal if he wanted to. So I Gerald, they just made that trade for John Collins, so
it's not a fit, John Collins, but it's a good gamble by them just to see what he might have left.
Yes, absolutely.
You can move him again. So, but marketing is someone that could help. I don't know if he changed the landscape.
Well, Tony Jones said it himself. He said Danny Ainge isn't getting any younger. Danny doesn't want to see the Jazz be a lottery team for the next 5 years.
Not 5, but probably another 2.
Yeah, exactly. So
let me ask. I know that Dante in our chat kind of popped into my head. Let me ask Joe this. Joe, how much patience would you have on things going right in Dallas with Kyrie and Luka before you decide, you know what, it's time to pull the plug and start looking elsewhere for Kyrie? Because they're not going to trade Luka. They want to make Luka happy. Luka will probably start that downhill. He'll get pissed off at Mark Cuban type deal. It's the worse that they get or the less success that they have. What's your thoughts on how much patience you would give this current conglomeration of the Dallas Mavericks?
I think Luka needs to decide on whether he wants to be an all-time great or not. I think that's going to be the first question I'm going to ask. Luka is playing off his talent right now. He's got a Tracy McGrady path at the moment. But is he going to put in the work? Is he going to eat correctly and focus on basketball and stop whining like a bee, you know what, and try to start bringing his greatness out in winning? That's the first question you want to ask. I'm not worried about Mark Cuban or Dallas. He hasn't shown any evidence of wanting to be traded. Whether that changes or not, I don't know. And Mark Cuban doesn't give a crap. If you want to get traded, I don't. You might just say too bad. I don't.
But Kyrie Irving could, he did sign the extension, but he is eligible to be traded at some point in time this season.
And he's an early one. He's an early one because he took a downgrade in pay.
Yeah, so he can that can implode as it does. If we had to choose which one, it's very likely he will, especially if they start out 10-25. There'll be problems there. Kyrie will complain and then want to go somewhere. The question is where. He's going to want to compete, right? He's going to want to go to a competitor. Does that now force Dallas to make a James Harden trade to get rid of Kyrie? Kyrie goes to Philly. Philly makes that trade so that they can appease Embiid, and you have a chance, and you have a good dynamic with Embiid and Kyrie in terms of basketball. Problem is you have the two biggest snatches now on one team in Philly.
But Kyrie is also will be mentioned to,
which is the worst place to be a snatch. Just so you guys know.
But the Laker rumors will start immediately.
Yeah, Cuban's never sending him to the Lakers.
He will never send anyone to the Lakers. So get that out of your heads. That's not going to happen. Yeah, well, you would. The only way
unless it's current Kyrie Irving and he creates a lot of problems.
If they give him Anthony Davis, if they give him Anthony Davis, he'll take it, but no one else.
Yeah, it's not.
Don't even dream of that. Mark Cuban will never.
I don't want him on the Lakers personally, but those Kyrie Irving rumors that they start, like you said, 10-25, or even under 500. Those trade rumors with Kyrie Irving.
If Dallas starts like 1-3, 1-4, you'll see a video or two already.
Or in a trouble. Laker Tom on Twitter. Tom on Twitter.
Yeah, he'll be going nuts with the trade machine.
Yes, absolutely. So okay, I'm just saying it, but I like your Philadelphia plan if it goes awry for Irving in Dallas. I think that probably is a more realistic option for them. Although, would he play well off of Maxey?
That's a small backcourt that you take advantage of in the playoffs. But
the thing is,
they'd be really like Gerald. Tyrese Maxey is probably the fastest player we have in the NBA. I think that
could become an all-star at some point.
He's up there too. I would say Maxey's a better combination right now, shooter and speed. But you're right, Jeff. Like it's like neck and neck. It's neck and neck. But Maxey needs the ball in his hands a lot, Gerald, and he wasn't getting it a lot in his hands with Harden, and it was frustrating the hell out of him. It was frustrating a lot of people who
because you have that Harris contract too, as well.
Who enjoy good basketball, right? You get the Harris contract too, but like Gerald, again, the Harris contract. All due respect, Tobias Harris is a good player.
Mm-hmm.
That he is a good player. That
expiring though, finally, isn't
it? It is. That contract was never a reflection on who Tobias Harris was as a player.
No, he's a good dude.
He's a good player.
It was a reflection of the market at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not him. He is a very good player. Yeah.
And a good agent. Absolutely.
Yeah, good agent. Yeah.
That contract. Yeah,
and to be fair, I think because I've talked a bit about Kyrie potentially going to Philly for Harden too for a while now. And I think like the more I start thinking about it, the more I think that if Dallas is going to move Kyrie, they're not going guard for guard. I think they want to get another bigger guy in there to mesh with Luka a little bit better, and a guy that doesn't need the ball in his hand to dribble to be effective. And Cat comes into play. So like the more I thought of, and I've been talking probably about Kyrie to Philly potentially literally since he signed the deal. So like I'm almost talking myself out of it now. So I'm like, I think like if they do it, because with Brunson left because he didn't have the ball as much as he wanted. If Kyrie ends up out here because it's not working with Luka, they almost have to trade for a big when they move Kyrie and get someone who can play off of and independent of Luka versus another guy who needs the ball in his hands and dribble like James Harden would. like I said, I'm having to talk myself out of that because I've been on that train for a bit. But the more I think about it, like I think it would be someone like a Cat that would probably be moved for Kyrie. I think they'd have to go big.
There's no chance Minnesota would bring in Kyrie.
I mean, I think it's more possible than you think. I mean, he signed long term. They pretty much have given up on Cat, and he's locked up. He'd play well for him. He'd fit a need. So like you'd have to move Conley somewhere. But I think teams. I think the day of teams not making a move for Kyrie are done because his contract is manageable. It's a decent contract. He's going to put up numbers. He's going to play well enough. I think the days of teams being scared of Kyrie are over. And I don't think Kyrie's going to be out of there.
I think the opposite. If Kyrie does it one more time, I think teams are pretty much going to be.
Well, I don't think it's going to be because of Kyrie doing something.
It's going to have to be. It's going to have to be the perfect spot. So Philly would be the perfect spot. Somewhere where there's a veteran, there's an MVP. LA would be the bright spot because if you trade, let's say D'Angelo, Vanderbilt, a package for, let's just say it happened, right? And you got Kyrie with LeBron and AD and Austin Reeves, that would work, right? That would work. But if you
a better natural fit,
you send Kyrie to Minnesota, oh my God, no, that's.
I mean, you sent them to Dallas. What's the difference?
Dallas is a little bit more manageable. Dallas is, shoot, it's got a football team that's got them. It's a big market. It's still a big market.
It's a bigger market, but
plus
if you're talking
Texas,
about like,
your money gets stretched out better over there in Texas. Minnesota's bad weather. Dallas is bad weather too to some degree, but at least it's hot. It's not freezing.
But I think you're taking the Kyrie side of it. I'm taking the Dallas Mavericks side of it. If I'm moving Kyrie, the best player that fits for the best with Luka, I'm not too worried about the fit with Kyrie or wherever he goes.
Dallas. It's Minnesota that's not going to do it.
and
They're not going to want Kyrie over there. They already got enough drama over there.
I don't know. This is the same guys who traded 4 picks for Rudy Gobert and got it big when they already had one. So I wouldn't put
that's part of it.
Or at least he has an option.
That's part of it, EJ. I don't think they're going to make another mistake after that. I think they learned a lesson.
Well, Joe, let me ask you this. Last one we'll talk about, and then we'll head on out. And that's what Sean mentioned earlier about Pat Riley in Miami. You know, the fact that he did get burned, you know, obviously with the Damian Lillard stuff that went on, Joe. But obviously their time is running short. Butler ain't getting younger. Adebayo ain't getting younger. So what do you see for them? They've got I think they have a big move that they need to make. They have to have a big move in mind. They have to now realize that they have to go ahead and start being more aggressive. And Pat Riley, like Magic Man said, the time is ticking for him on making moves. And so, Joe, where do you see what direction for them? Because the team right now, they are not getting back to the finals. I think if anybody thinks that they're getting back to the finals with the team that they have, I think they're just kidding themselves, especially with those top 2 teams in the Eastern Conference.
And even if they did, they can't compete likely with the West anyways. It's pretty obvious that it's just a problem. If a couple plays go Phoenix's way, the West would have won. I mean, look at how the East wins. They win off. They barely win, it seems like. I know it's still winning. I'm not dogging it, but they don't dominate. You know, they were down 2-0, and then Phoenix went into choke mode. You know, it's like, dude, finish the damn series off. 2019, the entire freaking team for Golden State died like the last 3 games. Like, if Durant doesn't get hurt, at least if Clay doesn't get hurt, they might have even probably still won the series.
They would have won that series.
So I told you guys at the end of the season, I am not, as much as I'm in support of Boston and Milwaukee being really, really set up to win, I still have reservations on how good the East is. They have sucked as a whole since 1998. That is a long time. That's 25 years that the East has sucked, barring a few championships here and there. But there hasn't been an East team to me that I saw, all the way. Yeah, Miami was there, but they were still down 3-2 against the Celtics.
Let's be honest, Joe. Let's be honest. Pat Riley is like, God rest his soul, Coach John Bear Bryant. The second he retires from the NBA, you're going to read a notification on your phone a week or 2 later that Pat Riley has passed away. Coaching NBA basketball is in his blood. just like football was in the Bears' blood. I think he's going to be with the Heat until the wheels fall off. I don't think this is a Red Auerbach situation. Red stepped away from the Celtics when he was 78 years old. Pat Riley's not going anywhere, and he's 77. He looks like he could beat all of us in a marathon right now, Gerald.
If you look at Pat Riley,
hold on, I ain't finished.
I'll tell you when you're finished. Go ahead.
You got me too earlier, Joe.
Anyway, yeah, Gerald, there's a move to be made there. It's just the situation is the situation, and it has to be the right one for him. Because Gerald, it wasn't really I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Like, you're just wrong about the Dame situation. You keep saying it's the Heat that turned sour. The worm turned when Dame's reps themselves leaked all this crap because they really wanted their client in Miami.
Well,
Pat Riley was just sitting back saying, "Hey, I can't help if people want to come to Miami. I can't help that. No, it's true though. It's true.
That layer is true, but Dame allowing them to sign Jeremy Grant and then requesting a trade the next day.
Why? Yeah, like give your reps like a big punch in the head. I agree, Jeff. I agree. But all I'm saying, Gerald, is but you're right. In the end, it fell through. But I think he's got to wait for the right situation. But yeah, he's 77. He's not getting any younger. I mean, we still have to deal with space junk. I've seen the traffic in Miami. You're not safe driving on the roads in Toronto any more than you are in Miami. So a lot of
cruise that.
Yeah, a lot of things can happen. But yeah, you're right. And Gerald, that team in and of itself, you're right. Jimmy Butler can't have a 38% usage rate in the playoffs for the rest of his life. I mean, eventually the chickens are going to come home to roost. He gives you the absolute all, right? He's like a player and a half in the playoffs with his usage rate and his production. But you're right. He's 34. He's going to be 35. He's got a lot of tread on those tires too. They need to get somebody in there because look, Bam's a nice player, but I think on a championship team, Bam's a nice number 2. I think he's a 2A, 2B. He's more of a 3. It's more of a 3. I think given if his shot ain't funky, I think he could be like a 2B.
He can impact defensively tremendously.
Absolutely.
But offensively.
But and they got some nice pieces there, Gerald, around them. But they're probably going to still slot into the top 6 seed. I mean, my God, there's more talent on this Heat team defensively for Spo than there was when he had Josh McRoberts and Rodney McGruder. And
I think it all depends on how you evaluate Tyler Hero. How you see Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry, because that's $56 million that they can move in cash right there. That could get them something in return that could be pretty big, but we'll wait and see. Again, it's how you evaluate Tyler Hero. I don't evaluate him very high, which probably Portland. That's why they searched for another trade, and obviously ultimately they got it. And I think that's a really good trade for them because it's worked out beyond that first trade to another trade, and probably will work out another trade once they get rid of Brogdon. Although I think they should give the 2 7-footers a try alongside each other just to see how that works for a little bit. But if they don't like that, they can get rid of Robert Williams or Ayton and make another trade or another trade on the top of that. So
I think Williams stays.
Health-wise,
I think. Yeah. No, I think they might look to keep him. He kind of fits their timeline.
I would try the Ayton Williams just to see if it looks like it might work. And if it doesn't, then by February you can go ahead and move off one or both of them if you like. So along with Brogdon. So yeah, they could have potentially 5 trades off that one trade that they're talking about. So yeah,
and end up with like 4 picks.
Yeah. It was a great move for them. So I will say this.
Gerald, go ahead. I understand what Alan's saying there. But we need to remember something here, okay?
Okay.
2 out of the last 4 years, the Miami Heat have gone to the NBA Finals, Gerald.
Mhm.
They've gone to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of the last 4 years. And by the way, they were a 3-point Jimmy Butler miss away from going to a third
remember.
finals. Yes. So
Conference final.
so it's not
They end up there.
it's
They just
it
somehow end up there.
yeah, absolutely. EP's right, EJ's right. Somehow, some way, and like it's not genie in Gerald. This isn't genie in the bottle stuff anymore with Spo. He's the best head coach in the NBA.
But it either goes really far for them or it goes off the rails, and this could definitely be a year where it could go off the rails.
That's true too. That's true too.
It's never just like a pretty good year for them. It's either go big.
No, it's like
or
a
they go
Miami.
home.
It's literally like a Miami Vice episode.
And
Feast or famine.
they've lost players that they counted on desperately to do it.
Yeah.
And you count as they're getting older, you're counting on them to be healthy. And the thing about the Tyler Hero thing is I think there are teams that would value Tyler Hero. I don't think Portland didn't value Tyler Hero. They just didn't need him. You know what I mean? Is kind of what it is. There are
Kind of
teams out
redundant.
there are teams out there that would take him. But if he's the centerpiece of a trade, then you've got a problem. But I think if people will say, okay, if I would take Tyler Hero, would I want him? Yeah, but do I want him at that money and him being one of my top 2 or 3 players? And if you're going to try to trade for, I mean, if you've got Jimmy, I'm assuming you're not going to move Jimmy, you're not going to move Bam. You're trading for someone who's going to be a top 3 player on your team. Is Tyler Hero enough to get that done? I don't think so.
And the money from Kyle Lowry, because that's 29 right there.
Expiring, unless it's a guy, again, there are going to be teams that don't want to face the boogeyman next summer. And they're going to, okay, let's just control alt delete this. Let's get below the hard deck and let's start over. There will be teams that are going to do that. So I think Miami may benefit from that because the Kyle Lowry contract can clear that. And even though Tyler Hero is $30 million, that seems a lot for him. Again, when the guys are making 50 to 60 million, that's going to be 50 cents on the dollar. So I think there is a move that could happen because of that. Not because Tyler Hero and Lowry are worth it talent-wise, but it's all mathematics. And I think because of that, Miami might be in the equation to solve some other team's problem and vice versa.
Joe, any last thoughts on this, my friend, before we head on out? All right. You don't even give your famous no right there. No. All right, though. Thanks for joining us, though, here at the Lakers Fast Break. Quick reminder, please go ahead and check out Empire Jeff at Empire Jeff TV. You know he's got great conversations always going on there. Please go ahead and subscribe today to Empire Jeff TV on YouTube. Also, Lakers in 5, the John McCalian channel as well. Please go ahead and make sure you check out our merch store. The description for the Lakers Fast Break merch store is down below. Joe, how have you been doing on sales? Have you been checking in to see how well we're doing? Good. All right. Always good. All right. Good to hear. Glad that people are enjoying what they're seeing and that they're going ahead and getting stuff, getting Lakers Fast Break merchandise. Always great to see. Bloodhound, great to have you here also as well. Hopefully you will have a great weekend as well. Reminder, tomorrow at 3 p.m., it is the Lakerholics. They're coming back for you with Lakerholics Spotlight. That's going to be a great episode. We got also a show on Sunday. Monday is our big season preview. And, of course, Tuesday, playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break. And, of course, our post game, the world's best post game right here. Magic Man, did you say you were going to try and shore up a pregame on Tuesday as well? Or is that a no or is that a yes, my friend? Yes or no?
I'm in the process of trying, Gerald.
Okay.
When I have succeeded and or failed, you will be the first to know, Godfather.
All right. And then I will let them know as well. Truly appreciate it. And once again, if you're into fantasy basketball, just need 2 teams left to fill out our league. So if you're interested, hit me an email, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com. Want to thank everybody for watching and listening. It is Gerald Glassford, Magic Man Sean Grice, Empire Jeff TV, and Joe Soro. We'll see you tomorrow. The Lakerholics are on tap. The Lakerholics are there. The Lakerholics will be part of a great conversation tomorrow. You know Laker Tom. L. Rob will be there as well. Jamie Sweet, Magic Man, Joe. You never know who will be stopping by for Lakerholic Spotlight as part of Lakers Weekend right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Thank you for watching.